Unveiling Jamaica's turbulent history, from Cold War battleground to the quest for peace. Jamaica's ongoing civil war, its genesis, its transformation, its consequences. Welcome to Dunce TV, where on this quest for knowledge we are going to critically investigate, learn, and highlight the underlying reasons why Jamaicans are killing each other off at an alarming rate, one of the highest murder rate in the world. Jamaica, a jewel of the Caribbean, is not just a land of sun-kissed beaches and vibrant culture, but also a nation with a turbulent past shaped by the global forces of the Cold War. As we delve into the depths of Jamaica's history, we uncover the shadows of political polarization and external interference that have left an indelible mark on the nation's soul. From the rise of the People's National Party, PNP, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, to the creation of garrison communities and the eruption of violence in places like Green Bay and Tivoli Gardens, Jamaica's civil war has cast a long shadow over its journey towards peace and unity. Yet, amidst the darkness, there are glimmers of hope. Efforts to address the legacy of political violence through peace agreements, truth commissions, and reparations programs signal a beacon of light on the horizon. In this documentary, we embark on a journey through Jamaica's turbulent history, exploring the enduring impact of Cold War politics and the ongoing quest for peace, unity, and democracy in the land of wood and water. Cold War rivalries and the Caribbean, a global ideological struggle. In the tumultuous aftermath of World War II, the world found itself divided between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. This ideological divide, known as the Cold War, shaped global politics and influenced the course of history for decades to come. While the epicenter of the Cold War was often portrayed as the battlegrounds of Europe and Asia, its impact extended far beyond these regions, reaching even the tranquil shores of the Caribbean. The Cold War was characterized by intense rivalry and competition between the United States and the Soviet Union, two nations with vastly different political and economic systems. On one side stood the capitalist ideology of the United States, championing democracy, free markets, and individual freedoms. On the other side loomed the communist ideology of the Soviet Union, advocating for state control of the economy, collective ownership of property, and centralized government authority. This ideological struggle played out on a global stage, as the two superpowers vied for influence and control in various regions around the world. The Caribbean, with its strategic location and economic importance, became a key battleground in this global power struggle. The lush islands and sparkling waters of the Caribbean may have seemed like paradise to some, but to the United States and the Soviet Union, they represented something much more significant, a strategic foothold in the Western Hemisphere. The United States, viewing the Caribbean as its backyard, sought to maintain its dominance in the region and prevent the spread of communism. To achieve this goal, the United States government implemented various policies, including economic aid, military assistance, and covert operations, to support governments and regimes aligned with its interests. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union saw the Caribbean as an opportunity to challenge the United States' hegemony and expand its influence in the Western Hemisphere. The ideological struggle between capitalism and communism played out in various ways in the Caribbean, from political upheavals and coups d'état to social movements and revolutions. Countries like Cuba became flashpoints of the Cold War, as the Cuban Revolution in 1959 brought communism to the doorstep of the United States, sparking fears of communist expansion in the Western Hemisphere. In addition to Cuba, other countries in the Caribbean also felt the effects of the Cold War, as the United States and the Soviet Union competed for influence and control. Governments in the region often found themselves caught in the middle of this global power struggle, forced to navigate the complex geopolitics of the Cold War while addressing the needs and aspirations of their own people. In conclusion, the Cold War was not just a conflict between superpowers, it was a global ideological struggle that extended to every corner of the world, including the tranquil shores of the Caribbean. As the United States and the Soviet Union battled for dominance, the Caribbean became a key battleground in this epic struggle for hearts and minds. The political landscape of Jamaica, exploring the rise of the PNP and JLP. In the vibrant tapestry of Jamaican history, the emergence of the People's National Party, PNP, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, stands as a defining moment. These two political entities have shaped the course of Jamaican politics and society for decades, each representing distinct ideologies and visions for the nation's future. The People's National Party, PNP, traces its roots back to the 1930s, a time of social upheaval and political awakening in Jamaica. Founded by national hero Norman Manley in 1938, the PNP emerged as a champion of democratic socialism, advocating for social justice, economic equality, and the empowerment of the Jamaican people. Under the leadership of figures like Michael Manley and Portia Simpson Miller, the PNP has continued to espouse these principles, promoting policies aimed at reducing poverty, expanding access to education and health care, and fostering a more equitable society. In contrast, the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, emerged from the trade union movement of the 1940s, with the goal of representing the interests of the working class and promoting the principles of capitalism and free market economics. Led by luminaries such as Alexander Bustamante and Edward Seaga, the JLP has advocated for privatization, deregulation, and foreign investment as drivers of economic growth and development. With a focus on individual initiative, entrepreneurship, and economic freedom, the JLP has positioned itself as the party of choice for those who believe in the power of the free market to drive prosperity and opportunity. The ideological differences between the PNP and the JLP are stark, reflecting broader debates about the role of government in society and the best path to national development. While the PNP advocates for a more interventionist approach, with the state playing a central role in addressing social and economic inequalities, the JLP favors a more laissez-faire approach, emphasizing the importance of individual initiative and private enterprise in driving economic growth. These ideological differences have been reflected in the policies and programs of successive PNP and JLP administrations, shaping everything from education and healthcare to taxation and infrastructure development. They have also been the source of intense political debate and contention, as supporters of each party passionately defend their vision for Jamaica's future. In conclusion, the rise of the PNP and JLP has been a defining feature of Jamaican politics, representing competing visions for the nation's future. As Jamaica continues to grapple with the challenges of the 21st century, the ideological differences between these two political parties remain as relevant and as contentious as ever, shaping the trajectory of the nation and the lives of its people. Cold War machinations, external influences on Jamaican politics. During the height of the Cold War, the Caribbean island nation of Jamaica found itself caught in the crosshairs of global power struggles. As the United States and the Soviet Union vied for influence in the Western Hemisphere, Jamaica became a battleground for ideological supremacy. External powers sought to exert their influence over Jamaican politics, deepening divisions and exacerbating tensions between the two major political parties, the People's National Party, PNP, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP. At the heart of this geopolitical maneuvering were the ideological differences between the PNP and the JLP. The PNP, led by figures like Michael Manley, embraced a platform of democratic socialism, advocating for social justice, economic equality, and the empowerment of the Jamaican people. This agenda resonated with leftist movements and governments around the world, particularly in Cuba and the Soviet Union. Viewing Manley's democratic socialist agenda as aligned with their own interests in the region, Cuba and the Soviet Union provided support to the PNP, including financial assistance, military training, and ideological guidance. On the other side of the political spectrum, the JLP represented the interests of capitalism and free market economics. Led by leaders like Edward Seaga, the JLP sought to promote private enterprise, foreign investment, and economic liberalization as drivers of growth and development. The United States, fearing the spread of communism in the Western Hemisphere, threw its support behind the JLP, viewing it as a bulwark against the tide of socialism sweeping across the region. Through diplomatic channels, economic aid, and covert operations, the United States bolstered the JLP's position and undermined the influence of the PNP. The influx of foreign aid, propaganda, and military assistance further polarized Jamaican society, turning political differences into entrenched ideological battlegrounds. As Cuba and the Soviet Union provided support to the PNP, the United States countered with its own efforts to bolster the JLP. Jamaican politics became increasingly militarized, with both parties cultivating armed wings and militias to defend their interests and suppress their opponents. The legacy of external influences on Jamaican politics during the Cold War continues to reverberate today. The deep-seated divisions and suspicions sown during this period have left lasting scars on Jamaican society, shaping everything from political discourse to social attitudes. As Jamaica moves forward, it must confront the legacy of external interference in its politics and work to build a more inclusive and resilient democracy for the future. Divisions and disparities, the impact of garrison politics on Jamaican society. In the vibrant mosaic of Jamaican society, the shadow of political polarization looms large. For decades, the ideological rivalry between the People's National Party, PNP, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, has left an indelible mark on the fabric of Jamaican life. This rivalry has not only divided communities but has also given rise to a phenomenon known as garrison politics, characterized by violence, intimidation, and allegiance to one party. Garrison communities, once vibrant neighborhoods teeming with life and culture, have been transformed into bastions of political power and control. These communities, often characterized by high levels of poverty and unemployment, have become hotbeds of political violence and intimidation, where allegiance to one party is enforced through fear and coercion. Residents of garrison communities live in a state of perpetual fear, caught between rival factions vying for control of their streets and their lives. The creation of garrison communities can be traced back to the heyday of Jamaican politics in the 1970s and 1980s, when political violence reached its peak. During this time, both the PNP and the JLP cultivated armed wings and militias to defend their interests and suppress their opponents. These armed groups, often operating with the tacit support of their respective parties, terrorized communities, instilling a climate of fear and mistrust. The socio-economic consequences of garrison politics have been devastating for Jamaican society. Poverty, inequality, and lack of social mobility have become entrenched features of life in garrison communities, perpetuating a cycle of deprivation and despair. Economic opportunities are scarce, education is often inadequate, and access to basic services is limited. As a result, many young people in garrison communities see few alternatives to a life of crime and violence, perpetuating the cycle of poverty and hopelessness. But perhaps the most insidious impact of garrison politics is its effect on the democratic process itself. In garrison communities, political allegiance is not a matter of choice but of survival. Fear of reprisal and intimidation prevent residents from exercising their democratic rights freely, undermining the very foundations of Jamaican democracy. As a result, the voices of those most affected by garrison politics are often silenced, leaving them marginalized and disenfranchised. In conclusion, the impact of garrison politics on Jamaican society cannot be overstated. From the erosion of democratic values to the perpetuation of poverty and inequality, the legacy of political polarization and violence continues to shape the lives of Jamaicans across the island. As Jamaica grapples with the challenges of the 21st century, it must confront the root causes of garrison politics and work towards building a more inclusive and equitable society for all. Title: From Tensions to Tragedies, the Escalation of Political Violence in Jamaica. In the annals of Jamaican history, the scars of political violence run deep. From the streets of Kingston to the hills of Montego Bay, the island nation has borne witness to a litany of tragedies, each one marking a dark chapter in the saga of Jamaican politics. In this blog post, we chronicle key events that marked the escalation of political violence in Jamaica, examining how political allegiances fueled violence and perpetuated cycles of retribution and retaliation. The Green Bay Massacre stands as one of the most infamous episodes of political violence in Jamaican history. On January 5, 1978, tensions between rival political factions erupted into bloodshed in the rural community of Green Bay, St. Catherine. Armed supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, clashed with members of the People's National Party, PNP, resulting in a brutal massacre that claimed the lives of 8 people and left dozens more injured. The Green Bay massacre shocked the nation and laid bare the deadly consequences of political polarization. Another dark chapter in Jamaica's history unfolded in May 2010, with the Tivoli incursion. The incursion, which took place in the Kingston neighborhood of Tivoli Gardens, was the culmination of a months-long standoff between security forces and supporters of reputed drug lord Christopher Dudas Coke, who had been indicted on drug trafficking charges in the United States. The incursion resulted in days of intense violence, as security forces battled armed gangs loyal to Coke. The violence claimed the lives of at least 73 people and left a lasting scar on the community. These tragic events are emblematic of the cycle of violence that has plagued Jamaican politics for decades. Political allegiances, fueled by deep-seated divisions and mistrust, have often led to violence and bloodshed. Supporters of the PNP and the JLP, driven by loyalty to their respective parties, have engaged in acts of intimidation, coercion, and even murder in the name of defending their turf. The result is a vicious cycle of retribution and retaliation, where each act of violence begets another, perpetuating a never-ending cycle of bloodshed. But perhaps the most tragic aspect of Jamaica's history of political violence is the toll it has taken on innocent lives. In communities like Green Bay and Tivoli Gardens, ordinary Jamaicans have borne the brunt of political violence, their lives shattered by senseless acts of brutality. Children have been orphaned, families torn apart, and communities left traumatized by the horrors they have witnessed. As Jamaica looks to the future, it must confront the legacy of political violence that has scarred the nation for generations. Only by addressing the root causes of political polarization and building a culture of tolerance and respect can Jamaica hope to break free from the cycle of violence that has held it captive for so long. The road ahead will be long and difficult, but with courage, determination, and a commitment to justice, Jamaica can overcome the shadows of its past and build a brighter future for all its citizens. Building bridges, the quest for peace and reconciliation in Jamaica. In the wake of decades of political violence and turmoil, Jamaica stands at a crossroads. The scars of past conflicts run deep, dividing communities and perpetuating cycles of mistrust and resentment. Yet, amid the shadows of the past, there is a glimmer of hope, a growing movement for peace and reconciliation that seeks to heal old wounds and forge a path towards a brighter future. Efforts to address the legacy of political violence in Jamaica have taken many forms, from grassroots initiatives to national peace agreements. One notable example is the Peace Management Initiative, PMI, a community-based organization that works to prevent and mediate conflicts in some of Jamaica's most volatile neighborhoods. Through outreach programs, conflict resolution training, and youth engagement initiatives, the PMI seeks to break the cycle of violence and build bridges between rival factions. At the national level, successive governments have also made efforts to promote peace and reconciliation through dialogue and negotiation. In 2010, then Prime Minister Bruce Golding launched the Tivoli Commission of Inquiry, tasked with investigating the circumstances surrounding the deadly Tivoli incursion. While the Commission's findings were controversial, its establishment marked a significant step towards acknowledging the need for accountability and justice in the aftermath of political violence. Transitional justice mechanisms, such as truth commissions and reparations, have also played a crucial role in promoting healing and accountability in Jamaica. Truth commissions, like the one established in South Africa after the end of apartheid, provide a forum for victims and perpetrators alike to share their stories and seek reconciliation. By uncovering the truth about past atrocities and acknowledging the suffering of victims, truth commissions can help to break the cycle of impunity and promote a culture of accountability. Similarly, reparations programs can provide tangible redress for the victims of political violence, helping to address the material and psychological harm inflicted by years of conflict. In Jamaica, Calls for reparations have grown louder in recent years, as victims and their families seek recognition and restitution for the injustices they have endured. While the road to reparations may be long and fraught with challenges, it represents an important step towards acknowledging the pain of the past and building a more just and equitable society for the future. In conclusion, the quest for peace and reconciliation in Jamaica is a journey fraught with challenges, but also filled with hope. Through grassroots initiatives, national dialogue, and transitional justice mechanisms, Jamaicans are working to heal the wounds of the past and build a future defined by peace, justice, and unity. As the nation continues its journey towards reconciliation, it must remain steadfast in its commitment to truth, accountability, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow for all its citizens. Conclusion: reflecting on Jamaica's Civil War and the legacy of the Cold War. As we draw the curtain on this documentary journey through Jamaica's Civil War, it becomes abundantly clear that the scars of the past continue to shape the nation's present and future. From the ideological battlegrounds of the Cold War to the garrison communities and cycles of violence that emerged in its wake, Jamaica's history is a testament to the enduring impact of political polarization and external interference. Throughout our exploration, we have witnessed the rise of two major political parties: the People's National Party, PNP, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, each representing competing visions for Jamaica's future. We have seen how external powers, including Cuba, the Soviet Union, and the United States, sought to manipulate and exploit Jamaica's political divisions for their own gain, deepening tensions and exacerbating conflicts. The consequences of this geopolitical maneuvering have been profound. From the Green Bay Massacre to the Tivoli incursion, Jamaica has borne witness to moments of unspeakable tragedy and violence, leaving scars that may never fully heal. The creation of garrison communities, characterized by poverty, inequality, and political intimidation, has further entrenched divisions within Jamaican society, perpetuating cycles of violence and despair. Yet, amidst the darkness, there is hope. Efforts to address the legacy of political violence through peace agreements, truth commissions, and reparations programs represent important steps towards healing and reconciliation. Jamaicans are coming together to confront the shadows of the past and build a future defined by peace, unity, and democracy. As we reflect on Jamaica's journey, it is clear that the challenges ahead are daunting. The legacy of the Cold War continues to cast a long shadow over Jamaican society, shaping everything from politics and economics to culture and identity. Achieving lasting peace and unity will require a concerted effort from all sectors of society, as well as a commitment to truth, justice, and accountability. But as Jamaicans have shown time and time again, resilience and determination are woven into the fabric of the nation's spirit. With courage, compassion, and a shared vision for a better tomorrow, Jamaica can overcome the shadows of its past and build a future where peace, unity, and democracy reign supreme. As the sun sets on Jamaica's Civil War, let us look to the horizon with hope and optimism, knowing that the journey towards a brighter future has only just begun. In closing, we extend our deepest gratitude to all our subscribers for embarking on this enlightening journey with Dunce TV. Your support and engagement have been instrumental in shedding light on Jamaica's complex history and the ongoing quest for peace and unity. As we continue to explore the depths of our nation's story, we invite others to join us on this voyage of discovery. Subscribe to Dunce TV today and become part of a community dedicated to fostering knowledge through dialogue, understanding, and the pursuit of truth. Together, we can illuminate the path towards a brighter future for Jamaica and beyond. Thank you for your support, and may our shared journey be one of enlightenment, empowerment, and unity.